Embrace the good, good people. A poor man and a mother seek a friend. I hope the good, good people can make it till the very bitter end. And I hear grown men cry, cracking up, and some shatter into pieces 'cause they bought all the lies, waking up to truth and all it teaches, waking up. Stole your name, the leaders of this world insane. All said and done, we only need the rain and sun. And I've heard grown men cry, cracking up, some shatter into pieces 'cause they bought all the lies, waking up to truth and all it teaches, waking up. Love these face masks. Nobody can call you a pervert anymore. It's legal. You can walk about sniffing knickers all day if you want. Functional. You can still smoke and everything. Handy as fuck. You can put your shopping in bits. Extra storage space. Good face covering. You can walk about smelling your woman's underwear all day. Nobody can say a fucking thing. Can't call me a plant. I'm just obeying coronavirus regulations. If you're really risky, you can turn them round the other way and sniff the back end if you want. I've got some used pairs if anybody likes them. They're probably better than half the masks you can get out there. Does it suit me? You thrill with it? It's just for my health. It's just for my health. Sniffing knickers out in the street is good for your health, apparently. You can even do it in Tesco and Asda if you want. Earth's a globe because she sees it on the TV. So it's there. There it's there. Globe. Proofs. Proofsies. Sniffing knickers, watching my world on the television like a good wee slave. just need to open up the watch page so I can see these. Hope these are all sniffing underwear. It's a bit warm in knickers, right enough. Knickers on your face is warm. Right, where are we all? So this evening we'll have the phone number. The phone number shall go up once I'm finished with the introduction, so that I don't get bombarded with fucking zealots desperate for my attention. Hello, peoples. It's not any less ridiculous that I walk about with underwear on my face than these morons run about with these fucking masks on. Oh yeah, of course, Neil. They have to be worn. Well worn, unwashed. They're the valuable masks. I'm starting a trend. Hey, try it. Go to Asda with a pair of women's knickers on your face. See what they say to you. So anyhow, on a more serious note, if you like, this is a platform for realists. What you have to start from is the position of an individual and how you experience the earth. I'm going to point out the obvious to you. You experience the earth as a level plane. That's your starting position. It is contrary and totally absurd to even take on the notion that you're existing on a rotund, curving space testicle. You do not experience curvature of the earth, curvature over standing bodies of water. These claims are contrary to your everyday experience. These claims of a globular earth are professed under the banner of science. But what you have to consider is science has subdivisions. Science has branches that are just language based, like mathematics, which is why it's categorised as a formal science. For people like ourselves, the layperson if you like, real people, we utilise and place relevance upon the natural sciences. In particular here, when we're talking about the dimensions of our reality and the substances within it, we're talking about physics. Physics is physicality, physical substance. So when we hear claims being made about our physical reality by other human beings, those human beings are duty bound to produce practical references. Practical references mean that they show you and demonstrate the stuff that you can then take and recreate so that you can come to the same conclusion or refute the claims that are being made. We do not incorporate purely visible phenomena and try and assert that as some sort of proof, particularly when we have people omitting the geometry of our vision. Like earlier, I got a notification or a recommended for some debate channel by a guy called Josie, and I went, okay, I'm going to go and troll them for a wee while. And in there was a character called the Rumpus. Now, I asked this character, do parallel lines converge in reality? Now, the man danced and avoided and evaded until eventually he started saying perspective is dimensionality, and I was asking him, does it exist in the real world or does it exist in the eye? And I was getting a response of neither. When you look at something like converging parallel lines that appear to converge, like along a train track, it appears to your vision that the two lines are converging at a point. That is not happening in reality. You move around a Cartesian world, okay, a planar world. Your vision, how you view that, as a separate geometry. So when you come at me and you only have visible phenomena like I see circles on my TV screen, I see circles in the skies, therefore I live on a circle, I'm going to laugh at you. You should be laughing at yourself, because it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. So, when we're talking between human to human, we require practical references. As I said at the beginning, it's your experience that you exist on the level. Everything about your everyday lived life tells you that you are on the level. The claim that is contrary to that is the claim from the globe proponents. They try and shift the burden of proof continually. The reason that they get to shift the burden of proof is because so many people adopt a straw man cartoon model. Flat earth model, concave earth model, whatever plastic gibberish you want to take on board. If you, however, take the stance from your direct experience, you are always the master, you are always in command. Anybody who is trying to convince you to abandon your direct experience, your common senses, are duty bound to convince you of that. And as far as I'm concerned, it's an outlandish claims that requires extraordinary proof that the globe just doesn't have. The only thing that it has is visible phenomena, omitting the geometry of vision, then interpreting that to fit their presupposed model. The globe, Earth and its proponents are cult lunatics, dishonest, vagrant scumbags. I have no horse in any race, and neither should you. You should be totally honest with yourself. As I say, strip everything back. Do not hand your authority over. Don't make idiotic statements like, oh, well, I'm not qualified to understand my reality. Because that's you just giving authority and power to corrupt institutions. You have every power to discern and make your own mind up about what your reality is. People are in conflict from their direct experience of reality and what they know it to be because they are presented with an image, a two-dimensional representation, an absurd representation of your world. When you hear the word science says, you have to ask, what science are we talking about here? Because if we're talking about physics, then you better start bringing forward the practical demonstrations that support your claims. But what I've uncovered and what I've realised through my journey here is that the globular earth incorporates formal science, language based. So they're either trying to pass off mathematical formula based on circular reasoning and presuppositions, or they're utilising barefaced sophistry. Sophistry just means a complicated way of bamboozling you by sounding intelligent and offering you big words and mantras to try and bamboozle you into conceding. Reality is very, very simple. This whole process is very, very simple. What's your claim? Demonstrate it. So, going back to what I was saying earlier about going to this debate platform, I heard them talking, I've got it recorded, I might play it for you later. But to give you an example of how these liars try and get out of things, they were making statements about how they cannot demonstrate a standing body of water bending because they need to remove themselves from the earth to some other imaginary reference frame in order to demonstrate that for you. They were also going on about the use of talcum powder. That could be something that you could incorporate into your knicker wearing, but we'll not go there. Anyhow, they're talking about talcum powder. Talking about how they can't demonstrate a physical substance and its professed behaviours because of excuses. But yet they'll offer you up other supposed experiments like the Cavendish, which happened here on Earth, but the big massive Earth never got in the way of that. That's practicing pseudoscience. If I said to you, I can fly, but the only way I can show you that I can fly is that we need to go away from Earth because Earth gets in the way of it. But I can show you a picture and then tell you that the burden of proof is on you to disprove me and my ability to fly just because I've got an excuse. That's not how it works. That's dishonesty. You need to start being able to see through this bullshit. Because, as I said, the globular Earth is a concept. It exists only as an image and in language. So it is going to be rife with lies, deceitful nonsense. I've not really got too much else to say on the matter. We could go through the whole debacle of the globe and its nonsense if you like. We can do that in a conversation if you want to join me, if that's of your interest. Right now it's of no interest to me to lay it all out for you, but I can. We could go through every aspect of the globe and its claims, and I can highlight and show you where the lies are. Easy peasy. But I'm not going there this evening unless you come in for a conversation. This evening I shall be opening up for you to have your say on whatever you like. You can come in here at the Hangout. You need to send me an email. You need to have Google Hangouts, and you can come in and chat to me through that way. Or I'm going to put the phone number up in a wee second, and you can dial in and have your say that way. But at least try and be constructive in your approach. If you're a troll, coming in and calling me whatever you want to call me is just not going to entertain us. It's boring. But that's the experience we've had of Globe Earth zealots for over 5 years now. They'll tell you that people like myself are fringe lunatics and the Earth's abundantly and obviously a globe, but yet they're here week in, week out, day after day, constantly 24 hours a day, battling and fighting the flat Earth and all that stuff. What flat Earth are they fighting? Why do fringe lunatics, who are obviously, confused about their reality, require a team of fucking gullible dipshits to fight against them perpetually? What should be happening inside right now is you saying that doesn't make any sense. Obviously it doesn't make any sense. It's because they're out to protect invested interests. There's so many benefits come to certain institutions by perpetuating this utter ridiculous bollocks known as the globular Earth. If it's objective and it's real, just like anything that's real, I can bring it and I can demonstrate it. I can make true scale representations. I can bring you any aspect of our shared objective reality and demonstrate it to you, and I can demonstrate its behaviour, its physicality and its behaviour in relation to other substances. But yet when we come to the globular Earth model, again, we can't achieve any of that. Which is why you'll see it as an image on the TV, or a plastic toy, or made of wood, or whatever. Or you might get this. This was one of these crackpots and these debate things. This, we've seen this so many times, but they're still going about. This apparently is proofsies. This is proof of a globular Earth. Notice how the water falls off and collects into a container, right? But they missed that part. Unless this was them trying to demonstrate what the Earth actually was, so that it was sitting on some sort of plinth with a container at the bottom and a pump that comes up through the centre of the Earth and sprays the water out the top, then you know this is the absurdity of their fucking reasoning. This is how stupid they are. It's very bizarre. I think somebody needs to put something in the knickers that they wear on their face and put them out their misery. So anyhow, what else was I going to say? I can't remember. Why, the weather. That's right, the weather. Better not mention the weather. I'm not allowed to moan. It's only been 6 weeks since we had a clear day. 6 weeks. Every single day. Check the Scottish weather if you don't believe me. You'll see that they predict dry days with some sunshine, and then when it gets to that day it miraculously changes. Fucking total overcast. As far as the eye can see. 360. Every direction. Total blockage of the sun. And that's what I see that's going on right now. They're blocking out the sun. Because the majority of the days we just have a uniform grey-white sky with a white, sheet above it. It doesn't drop any rain, doesn't do anything, it just sits there blocking out the sun. Anyhow, that's a whole other matter. And that's the pattern, John C. Oddity. Gets to this time of night and you can see it starting to break a wee bit, but it's fucking too late. It's not used to me at fucking 8 o'clock at night. It's not used to the children. So Steve Thorne with the introduction music video again. What I'll do when this is over, I'll be putting a link to a channel that has it as a playlist that you can get access to it there. So, phone number. There you go. Nice and big for you. So what about that? These people are fucking serious, I think, in their stupidity. Perspectives know something that's part of the real world, and perspective is know something that happens in your eye. So I wonder where it happens. Maybe it's in one of these fantasy dimensions somewhere that we don't have access to. That was the other thing I was asking them. Before Fresnel lenses were introduced to lighthouses, when a Fresnel lens was introduced to a lighthouse, it was, ships were able to see the lighthouse from further afield. Now you have to ask the question, is that because the Fresnel lens helped to bend the light round the curve of the water? I'll leave you to ponder that. It certainly was me, Chris. How are we all doing? Brandon, Boom Me, Matthew Scattergood. Oh, a wee shout out to Pam and Ross as well, who just had a beautiful baby girl at the start of the week after a long awaited appearance. But at least she's here and she's healthy. And good on Pam for doing it at home with no drugs, doing everything natural, the way it should be. Good on you. Beyond Belief, Neil Williams, Matthew Scattergood, Tyler Durden, Boom Me, Flat Earth Preacher, AZE, R Green 216, David Marks, Neil Williams, Zuber, Chris, Rob Carey, Emerald Rider, how's it going? Brandon Gordon, TP in a Tree, Stallion, Wint James, Andrew Calvert, Tony Dixon, Stuart Lundy, Sammy Shaw, Tech Talks, AZ, Sean McElwee, AB, Paul E, Mick Bailey, Pied Piper, Dusty, Body Stickler and Water, how you doing? Daniel Fisher, Tracy Storia, William Direct Realist. Hey, panty sniffer, aye, fucking right, call me a panty sniffer I like. It's mandatory. It's now mandatory that you walk about with a pair of underpants on your face. They don't like me. They don't like me, John Anthony. They're all triggered. G Roach, V Thomas, Stephen Watson, High Level Awakening, how you doing? Flat Earth Banner, Dagon Morningstar, Dyslexic, Daily Record, World Without Curve, Alex, of course, Alex, of course, Kolshy Cats, how you doing, bud? Not seen you about for a while. There's a hidden hand, Khabib. So, you can call in. The phone is on. Don't be scared. You can phone in or you can send me an email. No, I need to make a wee roll up. The cotton gusset. I don't give a fuck whether it's cotton, to be honest with you, Gene, as long as it's moist. Could give a fuck. Moist with no chunky bits, preferably. Pam is Anne Flat Earth Female's daughter, by the way. So a wee congratulations in her direction, maybe. I had other things I was going to say this evening, but as usual, got red light fucking syndrome. As soon as you go live, I forget. I was going to talk about the level, experiment as well. I'm not getting anything concrete on that yet. You need to leave it with me. My chat. What? Alright, that was the 4th of April. Right, Chris, you want to join? The absurdity of this shite with the mandatory. Again, it's the same scenario. You've got a politician on your telly telling you you've to wear a mask on your face and calling it mandatory. Mandatory doesn't mean law. Mandatory doesn't mean wear it or else. Chris.
Hi, Dan, alright? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, mate.
Okay, let's get that out of the way. How you doing?
Not bad. Yourself?
Oh, busy as ever. I guess with the Jose's panel, sometimes he has really good people on there, and it makes for a good discussion. But you're lucky to catch a good one, to be honest. But it tends to end in, majority of the panel just getting onto the guy that's trying to do a presentation. Yet when they speak, they're sort of allowed to speak, and Jose sort of moderates it in a way which he tries to make it fair, but I think he is technically biased. But I want to make a point here of the rhetoric that they state, and they're very quick to point out people who they want to say, and the scientists and what have you, and sort of debunk everyone else. But I'd just like to point out a couple of people that have gone through all those academic institutions who have had a voice and yet have been ostracized from the mainstream academia. And one of them is a guy called Holton Arp. If anybody would care to look at his work, and this guy, he pretty much these two books, they're a bit heavy to be honest with you, but there's a lot of data and statistics in there. You can't argue with that sort of stuff, but it's discordant redshift associations and basically with quasars. Now that may seem a bit crazy, but when you break it all down into a nutshell, he deals with statistics, and he used mainstream science and statistical evidence as to what quasars were from what he's seen out there, what space is and what he was monitoring and looking at. Whether he was on the macro or the micro is neither here nor there, but what he found out about this was a true and reflective breakdown of the statistics, but yet they chose to ostracize him because it didn't fit the narrative. So when you go in there and talk about people like Holton Arp, Sir Fred Hoyle was another one who contested the Big Bang, and he said that these institutions are run by committee and not by, the scientists, and by consensus, so they choose to pick and choose and get rid of anybody that doesn't really conform. And so you can use that as an argument as to how these people have been victimized in terms of their credibility and what the data they want to supply into the mainstream, because they choose to ignore it, and they'd stifled his books being published, and he had to get them done in a way by a consortium of people that followed his work. And he paid for it privately to get the books out. He's since passed away, Holton Arp, but he had appeared, and another person as well was Sir Patrick Moore, and we all know he was this sort of eccentric fellow. A good read for anybody that wants to actually start off on a basis of thinking for themselves in terms of being completely independent. I would recommend a book called Can You Speak Venusian by Sir Patrick Moore.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of that, Joe, yeah?
Aye, I mean, he was a perfect example of integrity, honesty, and he even stated it as such, that he didn't have all the answers, and he admired people who thought outside the box and encouraged it and whatever else, and it's like an absolutely fantastic attitude for anybody to have, and I would highly recommend that as well, mate,
Yeah, and there's, we all know he was the Sky at Night, and one of the longest running programs on the BBC. He actually dedicated one whole show to Holton Arp. Now, this is even after that Holton Arp had been ostracized from all his contacts and observatory time that he lost. And I could just think about Sir Patrick Moore saying to his producers, I'd like to get this guy on called Holton Arp, he's been dealing with quasars. And I'll say, what was his name again, sorry? Who? Holton Arp, he's called. He said, we'll look him up then, we'll look him up. And they just get him on, not knowing exactly what Sir Patrick Moore was doing, was allowing Holton Arp to come onto mainstream TV, and describe what he was talking about with these connections of the redshift in the quasars. Now, basically, if I can break it down very, very simply, if I may, and believe me, I've tried to work it out time and time again from all the statistical data he's got and what he's saying.
Because when you talk about statistical data, what we're talking about here, we're talking about people looking at visible phenomena and trying to interpret what they think they're seeing.
Yes, well, he came up. He found some anomaly with the way the quasars were spread out and the interconnection between them. He actually found an interconnection between them, so he thought it might have been a one-off. But when he looked along a lot of other major parts of the sky at different times of the year, he found it time and time again, and he could almost predict what he'd seen before in another cluster, and he was correct. what he was saying was that it's not necessarily that the quasar that's the brightest is the nearest. It means it's one of the oldest. So it's almost as if the quasars were actually generating the galaxies, not the other way around. He more or less says that in a nutshell, but the relationship between the quasars are connected in a proximity. It's not because of the redshift. It's the actual size and the stage of what the quasars are. And even he admits that he doesn't understand how something can generate the energy from nothing. And he more or less said, it's just the universe doing it. He couldn't explain it. Now that, to me, that was somebody that was open, honest, and still open to discovering. And he lost it.
He's still talking about space balls and the vacuum of space, is he not?
Well, yes, he is. But I mean, if he's looking up at what he thinks is space, but if it's something completely different, I mean, who knows? I don't know what it is. But from the instruments that he had here, he was actually looking at it. And like I said, whether he was looking at the micro or the macro is neither here nor there. But again,
that's always a problem for me. You know, using instruments to look at things they don't know what they're looking at. So, you know, how do you devise an instrument to look at something or assess something that you have no idea what it is you're looking at, you're trying to assess? That baffles me. I really don't understand that at all.
Okay, but yeah, that just goes to show then even that's a fair comment, because he has to go on the presupposition that he is looking into deep space, right? Okay, so but the point I'm really making is that even when he came up with an alternative theory, that it didn't fit with the Big Bang and the redshift that they want. So if they went along with his theories or what he was saying in a statistical process, then the theory of relativity, the Big Bang will all be gone out the window. They'd have to rewrite it. But they chose just to ignore him rather than debate it. And I'm sure there's a lot more out there than...
It's prominent, not just in the cosmological type, discussions. It's rife through everything. Whether you're discussing consciousness, the nature of being, evolution, they've got these narratives that they have as their agenda, and anybody that talks against them is ostracised. And you can check that. I mean, it's there. There's loads of people that are out chatting about it openly.
Yeah. I mean, I like that sort of stuff. I like this, as you know. I probably like the more sciencey things, but it's about when they start talking about things. Yeah, sometimes I'd like to just jump in and give my 2 pence, but I jumped in last time there when they were going on about vacuum measurements and the units they use. Really is, you may as well call them, I don't know, apples, bananas, and pears, really, because they all have their own value, and depending on where you are, and if you're imperial or metric, but it all amounts to the same thing. So I don't know why they were arguing about that,
but that's the observations for me. There's people like us who offer a platform for people to have an honest discussion, and obviously I've got a bee in my bonnet when I see these things categorised as a debate, because if we're debating stuff it's only interpretations, and I'm not interested in interpretations. It's what can you demonstrate, what have you actually got physically. We're talking about the physical objective reality. There's no debating it at all. So you can see with these people they're disingenuous from the off, and they never agree. There's never laying out first principles, what they're actually discussing, categorising things properly. It's just a mishmash of bamboozle people, get one in, create a shit show and just confuse people left, right and centre. There's never a productive line, a process of reasoning that ends up to conclusions. It's the same shite all the time. So I think it's all dishonest, and these people are just charlatans out to make money.
Yeah, there's that side of it again. I mean, Jose, who does these sort of panels, I mean, they're all monetized in a way, and I guess each to their own. It's not for me, and I know it's not for you either, Del.
Nope.
Because if I ever found anything out that was so profound, the first thing I'd want to do is shout it from the rooftops, exactly. not create a channel and charge people money to find out.
No, that's it. Who has the right to take ownership over any aspect of reality? That's something I totally disagree with. And if it's objective, then share it freely. It's not yours to But again,
That's
it's up
it.
to them.
I mean, I've done quite a few observations from the camera, and they just poo-poo the P900 by saying it's the flat earthers' favorite instrument because it conforms to the narrative that they want to put or show. But I mean, what else is there? I mean, you could say that about any camera, really. I mean, I don't have oodles of money to throw at some more decent cameras, but I'm sure I could. It's probably wasted on me. But what I have used with my camera, I I've shot many sunsets, and I've actually shown a sunset at distance at night where there's still land between the sky between the land and the sun, even at its distance where you can see it. We call that perspective, if you like. And I've also converted an older camera into full infrared, and I've gone up and done a sunset. And what I've found is an infrared vortex coming off of the sun, hitting the ground and bellowing out. And if that doesn't look local, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
I mean, these experiments and these observations, they're just done by me. I'm nobody special with a camera, right? I just did it myself. I had this thought, well, off I went. I'm not looking for anything. And the other one, again, is with the Eddystone, with the way it disappeared from view. And I brought it back pixel by pixel, building up from the center out and like this. And, and the observation that I made was beside the Eddystone, there's a smaller stump, and that completely disappeared. So the lighthouse itself came in before the stump, which meant that the stump was still obscured by that ether band above the horizon, and its own distance as well. It's about 14 or so miles out at sea. So you can...
Yeah.
It's stuff that's easily referenced, you see. It's not made up. They can't say it's fake, because it's physically there.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So,
were you there when I was asking them about perspective? You mentioned perspective, trying to get them, try to lock them down in a position of where is perspective? What's it an attribute of? Is it an attribute of the real world, the 3D world, or is it something to do with vision? Does it belong in the eye? And they just danced and avoided committing, because they know what's going to happen as soon as they accept that it's a geometry of vision. Same as using a camera, we have to be laying out specifically what's going on with the geometry of vision and optical devices and accounting for it properly, or it's just disingenuous. The other thing was obviously the Fresnel lenses being brought in and utilised in lighthouses. You take it, about that?
Yeah, I've heard of Fresnel lenses. I saw you again. I'd forgotten all about it until I saw you actually mention it in the chat there. So it was. I made a note of it. I thought, well, I must have a look at that, because I couldn't sit here and talk about Fresnel lenses to the cows come home at all. I'd have to revisit that one.
Well, the basic is that when it was brought in, it received accolades because it was now allowing ships to be able to see the lighthouse from further afield. Is
that the lens where you've got you've got like a lens in a lens and it's circular? Is that the type you're on about?
It's staggered. It's the way they stagger. It's like angled.
I
can't remember the correct definitions, but you'll see it if you look at it. It's the way that it's staggered and it can focus the light to a stronger point. So that leaves the question then. Well, if you were a ship before the Fresnel lens appeared and you couldn't see the lighthouse from 20 miles away, and then you could see it from 20 miles away, does that then mean that the Fresnel lens allowed it to bend the light around the bendy water? Or did it just allow it to perforate, as you say, the ether band or whatever people want to call it?
Yeah, that's a good point. And whatever it was doing, what was the other one I was going to talk about? Was the No, so I lost my thread then. When you start mentioning the Fresnel lens, it's completely got out of my head now. it's my age tale.
No, but I just found it was an interesting point,
Absolutely.
That when these were brought in, you could then see further. So would a globe Earth believer assert that before that, the ship couldn't see the lighthouse because of the curvature of the Earth? And then when the Fresnel lens was invented and brought in, you could see it further. So without what, you're then going to have to assert that the Fresnel lens allowed it to bend over and around the curvy water. I mean, yeah.
I mean, mentioning perspective there, if to me it's a bit simpler than what they're purveying with in terms of the curvature. Now, if I were to look at waves, yeah, if I could see every single wave going away from me, then surely if I have a wave at horizon, let's say 5 miles, or let's arbitrarily say it's 5 miles, then I know every wave behind there in perspective has to get smaller, right? Because it's further away.
Yeah.
Right? So if I have a ship that's sat on that wave that's perspectively smaller, then the wave in front of it is going to be higher, which will make the ship disappear up to a certain height, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's not going over the curve, it's actually in a sitting on a water that's smaller in perspective than the wave that I can physically see last.
Yeah. Of course.
And that's what happens.
Aye. I mean, you can lie in the grass, and a blade of grass can look as tall as a mountain if you want, and it's only, a couple of inches tall. So, everything comes into perspective, especially when it's purely visible phenomena, and we have to understand what's actually going on there, which, is a huge issue for me trying to discuss anything with these people, because they constantly omit it and dance around the obvious, without taking responsibility, so I can't be fucking bothered with them. But aye, anybody can see that, and that's a game when you're looking out at the ocean. Predominantly, the majority of the time, you have swells and waves. When you get tides and these things happening, there's loads of stuff going on. I mean, if you've got, huge banks of water coming towards you, if the topography underneath, say there's a ledge, a couple of miles out from the beach, well, that water's going to hit that and it's going to elevate up as it rushes in. So you've got all these things to take into consideration, but these people just refuse to ever take note of any of it, So, I can't, the point of that is I can't be fucking bothered with dishonest morons. The majority of these people that I see are just out to protect invested interests, whether they're doing it directly for institutions or for their own selfish benefit of making money out of YouTubes. It's one and the same as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it does, and it got to a point. I think I was on, like I said, I was on there recently, and there was one person in particular that started questioning my credentials, and I think, well, I'm going to humour you that way, and he just said, "There's no way you have those qualifications because he just couldn't grasp the fact that, or the belief that somebody that was qualified similar to himself would actually take a different stance or view from him."
Yeah.
Well, I'm just somebody, right? I'm nobody. I'm just somebody.
And it pisses me off, that qualifications. All it does is breed fucking pomposity. People think they're fucking better than they are. At the end of the day, when we're talking about this stuff, wind your fucking neck in. If you want to reason with me as an individual, then you come down to that level. And reason with me at that level. Don't think you're highfalutin and a way up somewhere else, because I'm just going to rip the piss out you.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, you've got to get the basics right first, haven't you? You start pulling everything else apart.
Aye, I mean, qualifications mean diddly fucking squat. I can go to a university and try and reason with supposedly higher qualified academics, and they're an absolute fucking shambles. Thank you very much.
Do you want tea?
Yes.
No.
Thank you. So, as I've said before, I mean, it's all very well, some person having a line of expertise in a particular field, but that doesn't give them, ownership of any particular field. If I decide, that I want to understand a particular field of expertise, if it's a practical thing, then having a practical mind, you can grasp it, you can get the basics of stuff and you can move forward. But as I say, with the majority of the globe, it's all language based fucking gibberish of reference frames and non-material entities, and I'm really not getting any interest in it. But I think that's what goes on. I think there's a huge part of ego involved in some of these debates, where you have people who fancy themselves as intellects and they want to go there and try and stamp their authority as some sort of superior intellect. And I think there's a bit of pissing contest going on amongst these people as well, So
yeah, but it's great when they start arguing amongst themselves, though. When you've come up with the concept, it's sit back and just enjoy it, But I'm not there to rile anybody or have a go at people. I mean, it was a fair and open questions and discussion about something, you know, that I thought I could contribute to effectively in a way that would get to some sort of understanding. And do you know what? I never even mentioned the flat Earth. It was all to do with the technicality of published papers that were being given out to the public, which I'd questioned, and rightly too. Rightly, why shouldn't I? And if I was putting that as a factor to show them how this conflicting information is confusing the masses as well as trying to educate people. So which part of the confliction do you agree with?
Yeah. But that's the thing, you find that they're not interested in, you know, having resolving progress, Chris, you know, and even as you say that, you know, that's the first thing, you know, you mentioned it there, the flat earth. What, you know, I always ask, what flat earth are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know, as I say, that's why I always say that at the beginning, you know, it's the starting position is your direct experience. That's where everybody starts from. Now, if everybody's honest with themselves, nobody starts from the position of, you know, ever assuming it's a globe or even anything that at all remotely that would give you a clue that it was a globe. There's nothing. Nobody experiences the Earth as a globe, so that's where the starting position is. But again, these people don't allow that because they automatically need you to have some straw man. You represent the flat Earth circle with EE map with the ice wall and all that's fucking rubbish. So you're having to wade through all that stuff right away. And again, you can see the dishonesty because they don't ever address that and clear it up. They just perpetually keep attaching the straw man at you and asserting that that's your belief. And as I say, I have no time for that level of dishonesty. And you were saying, you know, you go there with a bit of, I just go there to rip the piss out them and troll fuck out them. Because that's what they deserve as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and the inevitably there's a small factor of that does come out with some of the rhetoric that sometimes they do spout, and it can be a bit attacking, and you know, I certainly wouldn't want it to break down into a debauchery of abuse calling. I mean, that's the time to leave then, I suppose, really. But
exactly. I mean, why not just, you know, let's remove it from Tinterwebs? You know, it should be simple. If we're talking objective, practical, natural science, then meet up, demonstrate things in the real world. You know, take it offline and take it away from these chambers where it's just all rhetoric based.
Yeah. But you see, there was one guy in there, I can't remember his name, he might Loud or something he was called, maybe not. He had a little graphical icon, and in the roundup he said, Chris has actually said some things that I'd never thought of before, so which I'll go away and look at it. And that to me was a result, because if I can say one small thing which will make people think about something else and go look at something and find a better understanding or an alternative view themselves, then that's what it's about really as well, isn't it?
Of course. Aye, if you can make a difference to one, then you've made a difference.
Yeah.
You know? But, for me personally, I'm just not going to give them that, and I'm not going to up their viewing audience or whatever by putting myself on there, because that's their whole game as well, you know. They want you on there to try and get their viewing and their ratings up and all that kind of shit. I'm just not contributing to it. But each to their own. Each to their own.
Yeah, that's right, buddy. We can all find a way and contribute into things, and we're not always right. And but the difference is we hold our hands up if we make a mistake. You know, but they're slightly different, I suppose, in the way they handle things. They're a collective, aren't they? Whereas you'll find that onesie twosies will go in, and rather than a collective, but they never go to different collectives. They don't appear anywhere else, because they don't want the same happening to them that they're purveying on other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're happy in their little group, aren't they, I suppose?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But anyway, Del, I shan't hog any more of your time. I'm sure there's more people that want to come on, and I thank you for your time. And
I check out the Fresnel lens and the lighthouse, Chris, and see where that takes you.
I certainly will, and I'm sure I'm sure I'll learn something from it. Well, probably something I've probably forgotten. I'm not an expert on lenses, but yeah, I'll look at that with interest, Elf, so thanks for that.
No worries, mate. Cool. Cheers for coming on, Chris.
All right, you're welcome. Cheers, everyone.
Take it easy, mate.
Bye.
Right, where are we here? Right, I'm looking for requests. Remember, you can phone in as well. In fact, I need to see, I had a message there, didn't I? Sammy Shaw. I don't have a clue what to talk about live on here, big fella. It's incomplete, it's saying that. Enjoyable, nearly pushed the chair, laughing at the start. Nice one, Sammy. Right, who have we got? Alex, wanted to hop on and follow up on my progress with mechanical engineer buddy, believing plumb lines are not parallel, and recap of basic geometry. Right, Alex. It's no sunny. It's not. People keep saying that because you can see daylight coming in. It's no sunny. Trust me. Are you going to waste the time just waffling shite? Just messaging to say thanks for taking the time to put the info out there. It's always enjoyable. No worries. You're a big daft.
Hey, Dale.
You're a big daft cunt as well, Sammy. How you doing, Alex?
Hey, yeah, doing well. How are things going?
Smashing.
Great. Yeah, so the saga continues. I just wanted to hop on and just kind of update you how it's going so far really quick. The good news is that my mechanical engineer buddy, his dad flew in. His dad has been, so this is interesting context because his dad has been a contractor, a builder for his whole life, right? And to give you an idea, as far as our age ranges, we're in our early 30s. And so he came in, we got the whiteboard out, and we started talking about the construct, that you proposed. I started drawing it out. I drew the first plumb line. I went square 90 degrees off the top. Right, and I asked a simple question. I said, after I drew it out on the whiteboard, I asked, will this second line, if you come off 90 degrees, be plumb? And of course, the builder said, well, yes, of course it will. It has to be,
yep.
Right? Which doesn't rely on vision. It relies on basic geometry. The fact that if you have a 90-degree square and you extend that line out, if you come off 90 degrees again, it has to also be plumb in his experience. Mm-hmm. So then I changed the distance between the plumb lines to be a mile. Mm-hmm. And I asked him the same question. Will that line still be plumb coming off 90 degrees? And it was... it's like you see the psychology start kicking in, that's like when he wanted to say yes.
Yeah.
And then this is including the ditch of water, right? Mm-hmm. So in the construct, we have the ditch of water at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, my buddy, so his dad was very practical. He wanted to say yes, but then my buddy kind of kicked in with, he really wanted to defend, so he drew like a circle on the board and drew all the plumb lines as if they were not parallel, right? Like drawing an X through a circle. You know what I'm saying? And so I simply asked, well, if that's true, then wouldn't the distance between and the water? So I got them to yield that the distance between the top of the water in this construct mm-hmm. and the bar.
Yeah.
Would be different if their globe model is true. Yeah. The distances must be different, and they did yield that. They said yes, and I asked them, but is that how you see water behave? Mm-hmm. Does water actually behave in that way so that it's actually curving? And what would a level do if I extended that bar between both plumb lines, right? Mm-hmm. And I used the level, checked the bubble all the way across, or whatever instrument you want to use to make sure it's still level.
Yeah.
They said that they drew this bizarre behavior of water that we don't observe.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they claimed, so they had to come up with this really silly explanation. I think they felt silly in the moment saying it honestly, but it's they claim that if you use the level on one end, the bubble is going to be in a different location. In order to get the bubble in the middle on the level, on the other end.
That's where the problem is, though, Alex. That's why, for me, when I was talking about it, the relative and the most important aspect is the initial plumb line, because the construct would be relative to it, and each section would be relative to each other section. So just as you say, if you keep, if you, for say, put your level on the first part and then move it across to the next part, they're just going to keep saying, but that's only relative to the centre of the earth. So
yeah, they kept saying that.
Aye, but you can't, in a geometric sense, by keeping each section square to the first one, perfectly parallel and square to the first, you can't just automatically bend that. That's not how it would work. As you pointed out, the trough beneath would have to show an increase in the depth, the space between the bottom of the construct and the surface of the water. Because they can't just keep saying a certain, somehow magically, that a construct square each section is magically going to bend. That's totally fucking ridiculous.
Yes, and so I think when I pointed out the distance issue, right, between the bar and the level of the water, they then went on to claim that the behavior of the water would be curved, which, like, over a half mile, over a total mile. Now, I think they felt silly proposing that, but that's the only way to make their model work, is that they have to say that it would be observable and measurable that the ditch of water would have to have a curve that would be measurable with something physical.
Yeah. But
this is testable, and I really would like to do what I can to make this construct. I think that it would end all discussion.
Of course. Because
I think we've got to build this thing. What kind of materials do you think we should use?
Well, I've been having different discussions with different people, and there's so many people going on about accuracy and this, that, and the other. And we would have to be really accurate from the plumb line, and the first section would have to be really precise. So I started to think along the lines of some sort of relay system. So rather than having a solid construct above the water, we could have some sort of laser relay, so that to avoid, diffraction, refraction, whatever, of the laser, we could make it in increments, so that the next box wouldn't be activated until that laser beam was sitting perfect into the centre point of that box. Then it would activate the next one, and so on and so forth. So the construct could be a laser line above the water, and you would still be able to measure from the laser line to the surface of the water,
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I started thinking about because I think he brought up actually that the laser would be affected by gravity over enough distance, and that the laser would actually curve because light has mass or something ridiculous.
Aye, well, this is the thing. They're just going to keep coming up with the mental gymnastics in order to avoid it. So it's totally absurd. The geometry that we utilise in construction, engineering, how water behaves, two plumb lines are parallel. These things are known, and to me it's totally absurd that we even have to go to the extent of building a construct, because it is obviously absurd to me that we would have to go that far. But as I say, some people seem to need it because they need that end point, something that's conclusive for them. And that's the only way I can see of having a direct measure that would demonstrate that, So I would love to make it happen. I'd love for it to happen in different areas of the pond, so that it can be left there as monuments to ending the whole discussion, and people can be free to visit it, see it for themselves,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Especially as if it was physical and permanent.
Yeah.
I feel like that would make instead of just using the laser, it would prove it. Using the laser relay method, which I think is brilliant, because you could get around the logistical issues of having to own a half a mile of land or something. which I think we can still manage. But I'm just saying, yeah, I think. But in terms of having like a physical construct that's there and figuring out how to protect that, that would just be, um, it would make a statement for generations.
Yeah.
But anyway, one other point is, so yeah, I will definitely look into the laser relay item. If I don't know, are you with you and your folks that you're working with? Are you keeping? It'd be nice to kind of sync up since I have a few friends here that would be interested in building it. Like if we can all stay on the same page as far as like what materials and which equipment we want to use, that kind of thing. I don't know if how we want to organize that.
Of course, I mean, I'm open to any input, anybody that wants to get involved in it. You know, include me in it. Feel free to include me in anything that's going on. I'll relay it through my channel. I'll promote whatever needs to be promoted. There's so many people that have messaged me as well offering their services. You know, practical hands-on services. You know, maybe some of them I can get access to certain materials. So I think just making an issue of it and trying to see if we can bring forth people who can make it happen would be beneficial. You know, as I say, and to put it in context, you know, a half a mile or a mile section is nothing in comparison to what we construct every single day. So it's no way out there as an impossibility. It's very achievable. We just need people to put their resources together and make it happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I'll try to come up with something in a way that we can all be at least logistically on the same page,
Yeah.
you know. But otherwise, yeah, I am also amazed because the extent to which what I can tell that we're dealing with is we're not dealing with reality. We're dealing with the psychology of people and their emotional investments.
Yeah.
And in this case, in my case with my friend, he is totally emotionally committed and invested in this mythology of Elon Musk. Okay, this is a big thing in America. I don't know if it is elsewhere, but people idolize this guy. They think and everything that he does. And so when you start talking about this, you're not threatening. It's like what's that game? Is it the Jenga? It's like you're threatening to pull out a underpin, like a core block, and their whole tower of belief system is being threatened. And I can see it kick in.
Yeah.
You know, when I start to do it, and I realize, oh, we're not talking about this construct anymore. Like I'm threatening their whole worldview and their underlying emotional beliefs.
That's it. I mean, that's evident. That's why, you know, I keep doing the street interview stuff, because it's such an interesting, you know, investigation into the psychology of humans and their behaviour as well. You know, you see it continually, trying to defend a belief system, and asking the questions why they're so invested in it, and it's just purely ego. You know, they've got other things to defend. So, but that's up to them. But all I'm interested in is getting it fucking done and dusted. Let's get something happening so that there's no ambiguity. Nobody can argue against it or whatever. It's done and dusted. There it is. And this is a new thing again that they keep coming out with. They keep trying to reword it now that, you know, 1 degree of the globular Earth is 69 miles. It's only 1 degree. But what they're leaving out there is that 1 degree to us has a drop from one point to the other of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet. So you know, they're trying to lessen it now by using this language of it's only 1 degree of arc and yada yada. Right. But there's a physical measurement to that which equates to hundreds of feet of curvature drop. So
yeah, so that let's say we finish building this construct and then they respond to it by saying something like, well, what are they going to change the math of the proposed circumference so that now 1 mile isn't far enough? We have to go. Well, you know, it's like.
Well, this is why being inclusive, as I say, this is open for everybody. So if you're a globe Earth believer, then get involved in it. Let's all agree upon whatever you want to assert the curvature or the circumference of the globular Earth is. Let's have an agreed upon rate of curvature drop from one point to the other, and then let's put it to the test. So it's up to them to have an agreement before we go ahead with it. There's no point in them agreeing and then because it doesn't work to their advantage, they start trying to dance and change it. That's just going to become very obvious if they try that. So we would have it so that it was ironed out properly, and we have an agreement from however many sources that they agree upon what the curve should be over the distance of a mile.
Yeah, I agree. So, and that can just simply be included in the hypothesis and then linked to the existing globe theory. So yeah, that's easy. Very cool. Well, I'll try to put something together and see where we can go from there. As far as like a way we can all share to make sure we're all using the same tools and equipment and stuff. But otherwise, yeah, before I hop off, I just wanted to say thank you for, continuing the momentum here and keeping the community going. I think it's nice to have somewhere to go and not feel like we're surrounded in a loony house. It's helpful. The other piece is I'm also just amazed. I know you talk about it a lot with these other YouTubers that are out there, and they just continue. It's like this weird upset, like in the same way that we're concerned about getting to the bottom of things and the truth of what's happening. There are these other YouTubers that, for example, I'm not going to name the channel, but they just produce continuously well-produced content about zenith angles. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's this obscure mathematics that supposedly surveyors use, but practical surveyors don't. When practical surveyors are interviewed to talk about we're talking about topo maps, right? Like multiple miles producing, like they do not use these zenith angles, which is supposed to calculate the distance to prove. But there's a channel out there that claims to use mathematics to demonstrate using the zenith angle mathematics that plumb lines are not parallel.
They can use whatever fucking mental gymnastics they like. The real world application will show you different. And it's just as you say, everyday surveyors assume flat for up to 100 miles. Now these other guys, a simple test that people can do, take 2 sticks, put them right in front of you so they're at level with your eye. Now take one of these sticks and take it into the distance, and you'll see that it goes lower than the top of the foreground stick. So once they've done that, they then have to account for that apparent, size reduction over a certain distance, and that's what they're asserting is the curvature of the Earth. It's got fuck all to do with the curvature of the Earth. It's based on human vision, yet again.
Yet again, what you've been railing on about, which is, it's geometry of vision.
Exactly.
Perspective.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Right. Okay.
And if they're not accounting for that, then there's dishonesty at play, because that's that's other proofs are based on purely visible phenomena. Now you asked them, as I said earlier, the ridiculousness of asking this guy, the Rumpus or whatever the fuck his name is. I said, why do the parallel lines appear to converge? And his answer was perspective. So I'm asking him, but what's perspective an attribute of, the real world or vision? And he just avoided because they will never concede that visible phenomena comes into the geometry of vision, because for some reason they don't want to uncover that.
Right. Well, the great thing about geometry and right angles is that we don't have to see them to verify that they're true. We can use other instruments to do that without using vision.
And it's accumulation of all the senses, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks for the time, Dale. I appreciate it.
No worries.
And I'll be in touch.
Cool.
See ya.
Look forward to it. Cheers. Santosh, from when I came across your content, I want to have a chat with you. I want to talk about my journey. So depressed right now and love a chat with you. Please let me know if you can. No worries, Santosh. I've just about got over my depression due to the weather and knew you were going to depress me even more. I'm only kidding. Right. Hello. Who's this? Hang on, mate. I'm going to put it onto loudspeaker, right? Alright. Hello.
Hello, mate.
No bad. How's yourself?
Yeah, not a long time, mate. Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. Just a quick one. I was thinking about this level experiment.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering,
Aye, I mean, we would first, make sure that there's no flow anywhere and it is a stable standing body. Then we could probably utilise it,
Well, this is what I was thinking, because obviously I don't live too far away from the Grand Union Canal.
Yeah,
And apparently from Brentford to Paddington, which is in London,
yeah,
it runs 5 miles on the flat.
yeah.
So I don't know whether you could put lasers on the bank to measure it, or measure it from one point, from, I don't know, sea level to the other point.
Yeah. Aye.
Yeah, apparently 5 miles, there's no locks, it's just on the flat. So
Yeah. That's it. Just identifying a stretch where there's no any kind of bends or turns, But I mean that would be an option. So some people have came at me, and said what I'm proposing is basically the Bedford level experiment. But the difference is the Bedford level experiment was just based on vision. Again, it wasn't a direct measurement. So what we're proposing now is that we have a construct that gives us a direct measurement. So
that's right, and you can measure out each point.
Exactly. So it's something to consider, definitely, mate.
Well, I might try and check it out, but yeah.
Aye,
I'll have a look. I doubt I'll be fucking cycling near it though, mate. If I fall in, I'm fucked. So.
Yes, was that? Sorry, I missed that there.
No, I'm saying I'll go down there and have a look, but if I cycle near it, mate, and I fall in, I'm fucked. So I can't fucking swim, mate.
No, it'd be good.
No, but yeah, I was just thinking about well, the canal's already level, so I'm just thinking,
of course,
build the constructs on the bank.
Of course, it's totally absurd. We know that they're level. That's how
We know this already. It's just proving it to these masters, really, isn't it? So.
Exactly. Aye, but that would be good if you could check that out and let me know what you find.
I'll have a look, actually. Yeah. But yeah, things otherwise, well, obviously, I see your hair still fighting the battle, mate.
Aye. All good apart from the shitey weather.
I know. I hear that, mate. I hear that. I'm not going to make you jealous, but London is alright. I'm not going to lie.
I've heard.
Fucking pollution, mate, but...
I've heard that yous are getting nice tropical fucking weather. Jammy bastards.
Don't know about tropical, mate, but yeah.
Well,
it's been a long time, mate. If anything else is happening up there, then...
Yeah.
I'm there, mate.
Nice one.
So...
Good man.
But yeah, man. So anyway, as I said, just a quick call, but yeah, keep it up, mate.
Cheers, bud.
Keep it up. No worries. Alright, you take it easy, mate.
You too, my man. Take care.
Nice one. Alright, bye.
Band lab verification code. What? What's that about? Right. Santosh, I'm still waiting on you. Have you shot it? I understand if you've shot it. Don't worry about it. Hello Dale, good to see you've got your phone number back up. We really liked the chats you've been having with the tradesmen. Dropping the conclusion in at the end really hits home hard and jumps the cognitive dissonance. Great stuff. It just goes to show how brainwashed the supposed educated people are. People seem to have left common sense out of their everyday thinking, and when you point it out they get all emotional. Then when you point out that they can't prove their claim, they try to search for some way, somehow, they can prove it. Then when they can't, they get even more emotional. You've got to laugh. People are living in a fantasy world. It makes us piss ourselves with laughter. And then they get even more emotional. To be quite honest, we don't give a shit anymore about upsetting people. If you can't get it by now, there is no hope for you. Best wishes, Maloney Brothers. Nice one. That's the beauty of having the phone back. You get to hear from all you people out there. Hope yous are all well. of course you can, Santosh, of course. I'll just shut that one down. Just give me a shout. Just to show this, Matthew, just to show the sun is out down here in Leicestershire as you're live. Oh, fucking lucky you, I'm still fucking clouded out. See, people forget about these things as well that we've done and shown. You know, everybody, you know, me and Dan showed, you know, at beach level with a piece of PVC pipe and the camera lined up to it at the horizon intersects the centre. Then we went to elevation and it was still there. We've also shown, you know, thanks to people like Andrew in New Zealand, that we've got the sun here in our sky, while at the same time Andrew and in Australia as well, Andrew's in New Zealand, they have the sun in the sky at the same time. These things should be bringing questions to you if you have any doubt. What the fuck is this shite? Club Factory? What is all this bollocks? Somebody taking my number here and fucking attaching it to fucking rubbish. No, Alan, there's no WhatsApp on. This is just one of these wee things. I'm gonna, I got two of them. I'm gonna get rid of the fucking smartphone and just utilise these wee fucking things. What's happening in the chat? Have you got the sun as well, Emerald? Andrew's got the sun again. The sun's here, the sun's visible in Leicester. Bit of a problem for the globe. These smartphones, dumb users. They use it to register for online stuff, so you get pestered. Oh, okay, is that their game? Whatever, wee sad acts. Aye, definitely. Pandemonium. And Robert's saying that the sun was also out in Florida at the same time. You don't agree with most of what I say, William? That's very interesting. I'd love to know what you disagree with and what your reasons are. Club Factory bollocks. Oh. Grey as usual in Ireland. It really is annoying. There's people going about, oh, Scottish weather systems in the Gulf Stream and this, that and the other. Well, how come it's fucking consistent all fucking year round? What's the difference between the 3 days, good days that we go in May, to get into the middle of summer and it being a reduced temperature, constantly overcast and fucking raining? Something's seriously fucked. This is not the way it was when I was a kid. And again, anybody that's paying attention, you'll see this reoccurring pattern. It's blocking out the sun all day. Uniformity, total block. It gets to this time of night and oh, amazing, it just starts to break up as the sun's fucking off. I'm not making any assertions about what's actually going on here, but something is fucking definitely not right. Any other, Alan? It's just, if you get something to say, then people can utilise it if they get something to say. And it's always nice in London, Pat Mustard. Always nice. Yeah, it's definitely going to affect the immune system beyond belief. How come high pressure doesn't block low pressure in Scotland like it does in, say, Florida? Exactly, McGinn, it's just all bollocks. You know, the Met Office apparently gets sort of $1 billion investment so that they could accurately fucking predict weather and be better. But yet every fucking time they say here, you know, they'll show us, it's like, it's just a tease. Oh, look, this whole week looks as if it's going to be sunny, cloudy. Then it gets to the start of that week and miraculously it all changes to overcast and fucking raining. Every time. 100% without fail. All these wee fannies are just continually fucking setting up club factories and whatever. It's these wee fucking gamer clowns, I think. It's not going to affect this wee fucking phone because it's just a wee dingy phone, so knock yourself out, lads. That's all we're getting. We're just getting varying temperatures of rain. As I said the last time, you know, spring is now the last week of April, summer's the first week of May, and for the rest of the year round it's just autumn. Because we don't even get a winter now. So it feels like, Keith Anthony. Did you see the wee photograph I took of Xander this morning? Totally fucking miserable. I feel so fucking sorry for them. Sitting out there under the fucking grey blanket with his quilt round him. Sitting eating his fruit. It's a fucking shambles. Anybody that says there's nothing to be concerned about are fucking liars. All these people that forget that people like myself grew up with, you know, a climate that was totally different to what we experience right now. There was never prolonged periods of 6 weeks at a time where every single day the sun was blocked out uniformly across the whole sky. That never happened in my childhood growing up, ever. And anybody that wants to tell me different is a barefaced fucking liar. He did look sad. They're feeling it. The kids get up every day hoping that they're going to get out. All they ever ask for is to get their pool set up because they want to splash about in the pool and have the sun about their skin. And they're just being robbed out here. It's really is fucking horrific. Nick should set me up a mechanics job in Phuket. Aye. Not up for any option. Nah, they'll not come near GoPro UK. They don't come near anymore. That's why they all stay in their wee chambers where it's all their wee cliques and their wee organised groups so they can try and gang up and bully on people. They can come in here team-handed if they want. I'll spank every single fucking one of them. That's what they know. That's why they don't come near. Because they know what's going to happen. Their whole purpose is to sway the gullible, the new people. That's what their job is. Well, it works, Siddy Alcarchi. I can guarantee you it does work because it's fucking wearing me down. In fact, I might as well just have a wee check and see what it's saying right now. So tomorrow it's saying it's to be sunny cloudy, but that just means that it'll be 95% cloudy and you'll see a wee blue patch in the distance that you'll never get. And then Monday, Tuesday, raining. Wednesday, grey cloud. Thursday, raining. Friday, grey cloud. Saturday, grey cloud. Sunday, grey cloud. Monday, grey cloud. Tuesday, grey cloud. Wednesday, grey cloud. Thursday, grey cloud. And Friday, grey cloud. I'll show you. This is one source. This is the BBC. Usually, they're right. Now, you tell me why I shouldn't be moaning and getting depressed when this is all you've got to look forward to. Tomorrow they're saying that, but I guarantee it'll be that and probably that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, how do they know this? What kind of weather is that to report? Oh, by the way, Friday the 17th, the weather that you get is no weather. It's just grey cloud that blocks out the sun. And then you've got another week to week and a half of the same fucking shite. But I guarantee you what's going to happen is this will just get updated, where each day it'll just add on one of these wee bastard dark clouds with fucking rain. And I guarantee, I'm shit you not, that's what we've had since the end of May, all the way through the whole of June, and probably the whole of July, right into August. We're just going to get this uniform, white out, block out the fucking sun. Because that's exactly what they're doing, blocking out the fucking sun. Wanks. Or as Magumba called them, wank fucks. I don't have horrible enough words for it. It was the same the other day. That was the first day we were supposed to get a decent day. You look forward to it, then you wake up in the morning, it's fucking grey and raining. Right, let me see here. Jean, evening. I'm listening and thinking that if you sailed down a canal where the water is alleged to bend with a bowl of level water on a level table, then as you progress down the canal, surely the water would slosh out the sides. No, Jean, see, that's where you're misunderstanding, because the globe will just say that it's all relative, because as you move, that's all being pulled magically towards the centre of the gobstopper Earth. So even when you go in it's all relative. It's all nice and parallel, centre of gravity, stuffsies. See, the problem is this is what starts happening. And it's so, because it's so obvious what the Earth is, and then you're coming up with all this mental stuff to try and convince lunatics that what they believe in is absurd. But that's the problem. They just have absurd excuses to try and hand wave away reality. So for me, that's the only thing. A direct measure has to be, because, you know, both sides can agree that a plumb is plumb. Even on the globe Earth, they have to agree that a plumb line is plumb. So you take that as your reference point and you build from the plumb. Never mind the Earth or what's going on underneath. It's all relative to the plumb. That's the only way to avoid them coming out with their mental gymnastics. Matthew, Fresnel lens. Just to show I'm not talking shit, here's my Fresnel lens. You can see that it magnifies by focusing to a central point. This one has 2000mm or 2 meter focal point as well. Awesome for starting a fire. If you can see the sun, that is. Exactly. AliExpress, cheap as you can get. Always go with AliExpress standard shipping. And don't ever take longer than a couple of weeks tops, because it's all direct from China. You're a top guy, Dale. Sorry if I go on when I'm on your live streams. Not after the limelight, just trying to chip in and help. No, not at all, man. So let's see. Couldn't preview file. There was a problem playing this video. So asking me to download or connect to more apps, Matthew. I don't know what the sketch here is with that. I'm not going to mess about with it in case it fucks up the stream. Cheers for sending me that. I think critical thinking can be taught. I think that if you avoid dogmatic teachings and influence, then critical thinking seems to be something that comes naturally. It's only when they get into the realms of, you know, man-made conceptual gibberish that it becomes an issue. That's what starts to confuse. Well, for fuck's sake, there's that character there, the Rumpus. There we go. Let's see what he's going to say here. Right, we'll give him a wee bit of attention. Right, the Rumpus. You were asked. Parallel lines do not converge in reality, but they appear to converge to us when we look along parallel lines. So you said that it was a result of perspective, which we agree upon. So where is perspective? What is it an attribute of the Rumpus? Is it perspective an attribute of the real world, the external world, or is it an attribute of vision, the eye? Let's see if we get him dancing here. I'm not going to read any of your gibberish unless you answer to that point. Hurry up, sack sniffer. You can come in and tell me if you want. Send me a link, send me an email, I'll send you a link. You can come and tell us all where perspective is, because apparently in your world it's no out there in reality and it's no in the eye. So where is it? Where does perspective lie in the whole shebang? Is it invisible unicorns utilising fucking 3D projective technology or something? I mean, we would love to know. He's a wee sack sniffer. He's not even going to answer here. He's just going to dance. Why is it taking me so long to answer? Exactly, cause exactly. Now, critical thinking, it just depends what you mean by critical thinking, because different things have different complexities. So we could talk about it in regards to social interactions, psychology, but if we're talking about, you know, just direct experience of the world, I think it's something that happens naturally. You know, any child knows when it's at a, you know, sheer drop. You know, they understand basic things about the reality and the physicality. So he's just running away, so he can't answer. He's put himself in a fucking corner, the Rumpus. Well, here we go. This is him. The dancing has begun. Perspective is simply a function of distance. I have sent you an email, moron. Perspective is a function of distance. What? What kind of fucking... He's called people like us morons and that's his answer. Perspective is a function of distance. In relation to what, Rumpus? In relation to what? Your eyes? Why are you so actively trying to avoid that fact, the Rumpus? I wonder. What a complete and utter shit stain you are, wee man. You've no sent me an email, you fucking liar. I take it you've got an inability to fucking read, as well as be honest. Is that what your problem is? No, perspective is a function of distance, apparently, beyond belief. Whatever the fuck that means. It's like that wee guy I interviewed at Glasgow University, remember? When I asked him the same question. Why do the parallel lines appear to converge? Is it something is it actually happening physically, or is it happening in the eye? And he said it's not happening in any of them. It's not in the physical world and it's not in the eye. Maybe he listens to the Rumpus or something. Get the state of you, the Rumpus. You've came here, you've probably been egged on, right? And you've been shiting yourself, and now you've made idiotic, stupid fucking statements again, and now you're running away. And this guy, the Rumpus, is one of their best apparently. This is one of the best globe proponents. An utter cretin. I mean, just contemplate the sheer fucking stupidity, right? We're all standing and we're looking along a set of train tracks, and we all look and we agree to each other. These train tracks appear to converge. They appear to go like that and touch each other in the distance, right? And then we ask the questions. Right, well, we know because we can take a stick that's the distance between the two train tracks, and we can go along that train track and establish that they stay and remain parallel. So therefore, we can only conclude that it's a function of the eye. And then people at Rumpus are going to come along and say, no, it's distance. Fud. What a fucking spanker. Perspective is simply the effect of distance between observer and object. So the observer being the eye, the eyes, the globes in an orbit, the oblate spheroids in your skull, the rumpus. Go, tell us that it's nothing to do with the eyes. Go. There we go. Perspective has nothing to do with the eyes. Where is perspective then? I'm not even going to keep speaking to him. This is one of the best the Globe have got, and it is an absolute shit stain. How could you reason with a fucking creepy lying Torah like that? You've seen it yourself. Perspective's got nothing to do with the eyes. So apparently everybody, that when you look along the street, all the hoosies are getting smaller. When you look along the street, see all the hoosies you see, they're all getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That means that you've got a wee fucking 1/4 inch guy that lives at the end of your street. I've got a good video to show. There's a good visual representation to highlight the total absurdity of this. It's fucking great. I'm going to show it. Here is it.
Sees the world the same way we do, and the invention of the
Let me get this up, hang on.
camera really helped us understand some peculiar things about how we see. So, to understand what's so peculiar, imagine an eye traveling around in a
Now, Rumpus, pay attention, because apparently it's got nothing to do with the eye. How are you going to answer this? Hello? Hello? Who are you looking for? Mate, I'm just in the middle of presenting a wee video. You need to call me back in 5-10 minutes. Alright. So, pay attention, people. We should just remove the eyeball, because apparently in Globe Tardia it's no relevant.
field of objects. And something to notice is that these objects are all about the same size, and they're all fixed in place. And because all of us look through eyes all the time, we should have a reasonable idea of what this must look like to the eye. So hopefully it's not too hard to connect the point of view.
So the fact that these things appear smaller in the distance has got fuck all to do with the eye, and it's got nothing to do with the external world. So I'm just wondering what imaginary dimension Globe proponents
Shot on the
What do
right
you see?
with what's happening on the left. But if you look closely at what the eye is seeing, it's not exactly what's out there. All the stuff that's nearby looks really big, and all the stuff that's far away looks really small. So if you were to take your eye for at its word, your kind of naive impression might be that the world is behaving a little more like this.
This is what the rumpus thinks is happening. That's the rumpus and people like that think that when you approach an object, it gets bigger and smaller, like it morphs, right?
Things sort of swell up as you get close to them, and they shrink down as they get far away. So your eye is actually lying to you all the time about what the world looks like, and it's a lie that we call perspective. And we understand implicitly that the world is, as we see it on the left there, which I'm going to call the isometric view. But our experience, our visual experience of the world is what we call the perspective.
Note, people like the rumpus, it's the visual experience, so it's to do with the eyes. As we know, in the reality, we can measure each object and we know the dimensions and they don't get smaller with distance. That only happens due to vision.
View. And we're so used to seeing things in perspective that we rarely notice how preposterously distorted our visual experience is. And in fact, for most of human history, representational art was pretty much strictly isometric.
Anyhow, that's a good wee video for anybody that's interested. I've got a few other ones that I'll be sharing in the near future. So, it's still going on. Perspective's not got nothing to do with eyes. Fucking idiot. All you can do with these people is ridicule them. They deserve it. Oh, they try to dox you as well, Dan Pratt. I had it as well, them putting up my full title and my address. As if people don't know it already, I've actively put it out there. Hello? Hello? Nobody speaking. Let's see here. Hi Dale, I'm a joiner. Take it from me, it's flat as fuck. The classroom dickhead, Chris. Exactly, Chris. My email address is wrong now, apparently. Well, everybody else doesn't seem to have that issue, the rumpus. So I think you're just making it up so that you don't have to come in here and take an absolute spanking, son. I'll read it out for you. A, B, C, H, A, O, 7, and then that wee squiggly thing's at, you'll see it on your keyboard, at, G, M, I, O, dot, C, O, M. Apparently he's the best. He's the best of both. You know, there's a big phone number up there, and the email address is up there for all to see. He seems to be the only one that can't get it right. The administrator. Oh, that looks like the rumpus. Let's see. You got it eventually. That wee educational part there must have helped him. Reply. There you go. Link sent. The rumpus. John Reinbach, evening Dell. Put the word out to see if anyone who can get above the cloud can see what the fuck is going on. I am giving the bendy water test some extended attention. Nice one. Right, that's twice you've asked for the link now. A rumpus. going to have technical issues now. Can't get in. Aye, the rumpus is trying to phone Dell's email address. That's how fucking stupid it is. I know the administrator, fucking brilliant at it. Some people just fancy themselves. No, people that are rumpus, I'm not going to screen share them. You can't trust wee idiots like that. Where are you, son? I'll send the same link to the other email that you sent in. There you go. Oh, you're here. Clickety click, click, click. Clickety click, click, click. That's a nervous click. I can tell that's a nervous click.
You're a moron.
That's a very good introduction.
Well, you are a moron.
So the rumpus. Parallel lines, right? They appear to converge. Now, you've stated that it's perspective, correct? And
Yes.
perspective is an attribute of what?
It's an attribute of the joining the ray of light from an object to an observer.
So the
You
eye.
don't need an eye. So do you think, for instance, you have perspective if you just had a pinhole camera?
Perspective is in regards to vision,
Yes, we know that.
right?
Yes.
So vision requires an apparatus,
So pinhole camera isn't an eye, is it?
but it's still subject to perspective.
Correct. That's why it's got nothing to do with the eye.
Of course, it's a vision. It's a visible phenomena.
Of course it is. Yes, we know
So
that.
visible phenomena is in the fucking. It's in the word. It's a clue. Vision.
Doesn't matter whether your eye's there or not.
So if you don't have an optical
Utterly
device,
irrelevant.
if you don't have an optical device, then you're not seeing anything.
The perspective effect is caused by the distance between an observer and the object. The fact there's an eye there or not is utterly irrelevant to the travelling of the light rays or the direction of the light rays.
So are the train tracks converging?
No.
So
That's a
but they appear to
perspective
converge due to what?
Perspective
Of
just perspective. That is a function of a.
So
It's a
are you-
geometric construction.
Are you saying
It's a
perspective?
geometric
Are you saying
construction.
perspective exists as an entity on its own?
Correct.
Show
Well
me.
done.
Show me it.
Well, I can show you the geometry of it if you like.
The geometry of what?
How perspective works.
So what you going to draw me? Train tracks appearing to converge.
Well, I was going to show you the light rays coming from an object and how the angle
Rumpus,
between them
rumpus,
at the point of the
rumpus,
observer.
Listen, I know that your job is just to keep waffling on, but you're making an absolute cunt of yourself here, son. If you need
no, I
shame,
think
that's why
you're
you don't show
projecting
your
there.
face.
You're
This is
projecting.
why you don't show your face, because you'd be too fucking embarrassed. You would be affronted. You'd be scared that somebody would recognise you in the street and poke your eyes out, because apparently you don't need your eyeballs.
I do to see, but that's got nothing to do with perspective.
Well, what's it to do with then?
What's it to do with? Is that English? Okay, what's it to do with what? It's to do with the geometry
Rumpus,
of the light
you can
rays
try and undermine
coming
me.
from an object to an observer.
You can try and undermine me to try and get some sort of semblance of winning or whatever you think's going on in your wee stupid reality, son. But see us people here in the real world, we are absolutely buckled, laughing at how fucking pathetic you are, son.
You are detached from reality. You're a science denier, and you're a
No,
moron. You don't.
no.
Your opinion doesn't count.
Rumpus,
You're not qualified
Rumpus,
to have an opinion.
Rumpus.
You're not
You are
qualified to have
fucking-
an opinion.
Rumpus, you're only in here so that I can rip the shots right
You're
off you,
not
son.
qualified to have an
All this
opinion.
does is affirm to people
You are
how
too
fucking
stupid to
absurd
have an opinion.
people that you
You're
actually
not
are.
qualified to have an opinion. You're not qualified to talk to
Even
me.
globe
You are
believers
too-
are cringing right
You
now.
are too stupid to
Even-
know how stupid you are.
Even globe believers are cringing at how absurd you actually are, son. Perspective is not a function of the eye. It's not a function
Correct.
of the real world. It exists in some fantasy realm that the rumpus can't
It's a
display for
function of
us.
the geometry.
The geometry
It's a
of what?
function of the geometry.
Is it the geometry of the world or the geometry of vision?
It's the there's no world. That's a very nebulous term. It's the geometry of the light rays coming from an object to an observer. Whether the observer has an eye, whether the observer has an eye or not, it still is happening.
So observation means you need eyes.
Yes, but the perspective effect is still there whether there's an observer or not.
How are you going to show us that?
Well, it's still there. I can show you the geometry if you like, but do you understand geometry?
Rumpus? Right, everybody shut
You
their
understand
eyes.
basic geometry?
Everybody shut their eyes now, and Rumpus is going to draw us the geometry of your eyes shut.
The geometry of the situation is irrespective of whether you have any eyes.
Right, okie dokie, son.
I mean, do you understand there's a formula for perspective? Do you know there's a formula for perspective? Did you know that?
No, there's no geometry or perspective.
You don't know there's a formula for
There's
perspective.
no formula for what? A formula for
Perspective. Do you know?
what? So what's the formula for? Is a formula for the
Do you
external?
know-
Is the formula for the external world? Or is the formula
Do you
for,
know the formula for perspective? Yes or no?
Is the formula for the world, the three-dimensional world of
Do
objects?
you know the formula for
Rumpus.
perspective? Yes or no?
Rumpus, is the formula?
Do you know the formula for perspective? Yes or no?
But we can't even agree upon what.
Do you know the formula for perspective? Yes or no?
Rumpus, can we?
Do you know the formula for perspective? Yes or
How
no?
can I answer that question when we can't even?
Work with a yes or a no.
How can we even address the question when you deny that perspective is an attribute of anything?
I'm asking you if you know the
Rumpus.
formula for perspective. What's the answer?
Rumpus.
You're allowed three answers. You're allowed to say yes, no, I don't know. Which of those three do you want to
Rumpus,
pick?
you can try and act all authoritative all you like, son.
Which one of those three are you going to pick? And then we'll proceed from there. Once we've established whether you... Because if you don't know, I'll explain it to you. If you already know, we can discuss it. And if you don't know, then I can we can try and explain it to you as well. But at least you'll be honest.
Rumpus.
So you're going to be dishonest or honest here? You're going to be honest to say you don't know, or am we going to have to extract this from you?
Rumpus, nobody's even listening to anything you're saying, son. We're too busy laughing.
Are we going to have to extract an honest answer from you here?
If you've got a formula for perspective, what is it based upon? Because perspective has to either be part of the external world or it has to be something to do with the vision apparatus that you're utilising. So what is it to do with? Is this formula...
It's got nothing to do with the visual apparatus you're using.
Well, how can it not have? How can it not incorporate the visual apparatus if that's what's determining apparent convergence of parallel
Because
lines?
the perspective effect is there whether there's an observer or not. You don't know the formula then.
So what
Is that what you're trying to deflect? So you're trying to deflect from the fact you don't know. Why don't you just honestly be honest for once and say, I don't know, Rumpus, what the formula for perspective is, explain it to me. Or you could say, I don't want to know, I'm just love my ignorance. I want to revel in my stupidity and ignorance.
So
Say that.
I'm going to play a line here, right? So Rumpus, I've got a situation, right? Are you saying to me that when I'm standing, okay, right, so you need to visualise, I'm standing at a train track going away from me in the distance, right? Now when my eyes are open, I'm looking at those train tracks and they appear to converge. Are you telling me that when I shut my eyes, they still converge?
Correct, the effect is still there whether you...
Fuck off. Too pathetic. Too fucking pathetic. What a fucking gimp, man. That's it, people. So, when you're looking along the street to the wee tiny guy that stays along there, when you shut your eyes, it still stays like that. Because in reality, everything's getting smaller and everything's converging or something. That's a good shout. Sammy Shaw, I need a pish as well. Oh, wait a minute. Hello? You need to actually answer. What? Nobody can hear you, you fucking idiot. Whatever. I need to go for a pish. I laughed that hard, I nearly pished myself. I'm here and I'm looking at my doors going into the house there, right? When I'm standing here, they're fucking they're like that size, right? So in Rumpus's world, what I had to do when I go to the doors, I had to fucking duck down and fucking get through the doorway like that, because apparently that's what's happening. Thomas Gron, exactly. They're Poe. I mean, Rumpus is just a fucking Poe. He's confused himself. He forgets that he's just actually fucking performing an act. He's actually convinced himself that he actually believes this shite. Aye, that's it. At least he's fucking cheered us up. Anytime the grey skies are fucking descending on you, just invite the Rumpus round for a fucking discussion and listen to the absurd nonsense that comes out of his mouth. Fuck me. As I say, he represents the rest of them, because he's one of the best apparently. I've not seen that, Magumba. Right, let's see what's going on. Did I miss any riveting phone calls? Wee guys telling me they want to come in my ear and all this stuff or something, I don't know. Shout out to you, Dale, been watching you for a while now. Very eye-opening chat usually, and has definitely made me look at my actual physical reality in a different way. Keep doing your thing. Cheers, mate. Andy for Glasgow. Weather's pish. Exactly, man. Nice one. Glad to know you're fucking thinking, mate. Dale, it's Winston 1875 on the chat, mate. Get over to Dubai's channel after your live and see his response to Not a Professor Dave. We'll check that out. Well, Dale, we both have to agree, when we were kids in the 80s and in a place called Shepshed in the East Midlands, we had summers that would last forever. We would have weeks on end with hot sun every day. Then after maybe 2 to 3 weeks we would have a thunderstorm, and then back to beautiful sunshine. They are doing the same shit to you as they are doing to us, but it's not been going on so well this year. The wind keeps blowing the chem chaff away most years before they give us the spring and then put the canopy for the whole of the summer, and then give us a few days sunshine in the autumn and the canopy on for winter. The last bloke is a fucking moron. How does perspective even exist if you ain't looking? Best wishes, Maloney Brothers. Exactly, and that's it. You know, the majority of people can remember how spring and summer was here. And just as you say, you would have weeks on end of glorious sunshine, and then you would get that thunderous lightning and it would break, the temperature would come. Remember the smell you used to get as the rain hit the earth, and that smell was, you know, the memories. I've not had that for fucking, I can't remember the last time I even experienced that. But yet, in other places it seems to be fucking fine. As I say, it's doing my fucking skull in. But, you know, and this is it, the days are already getting shorter here now. We've had fuck all. We're going to be back to autumn and winter before you know it. And it's just horrendous, it's a nightmare. I don't even want to contemplate, because the thought of getting back to fucking winter without even experiencing a summer again, it's just totally horrific. These motherfuckers deserve to be tortured to the end of fucking time. No fucking remorse. I hate the cunts. Global warming, climate change, something's going on. People can keep trying to deny it. I videoed, you know, 2 aircraft side by side spraying right across the sky. Now, what is the fucking the aviation authorities? What's their rules on distance? you know, for aircraft, something like 3 miles. These two motherfuckers are right next to each other, fucking spraying across the sky. There's definitely something to be investigated. Sky used to be blue. Remember at the start of the lockdown? That was the first time in I don't know how many years where the sky had a deep blue colour to it rather than that wispy white haze. It was distinct, deep blue, big billowy clouds with fucking space between them. That's the first time I've seen a sky like that for over 15 years. Tarmac was so soft you could carve your name in it with a fucking lollipop stick. Rick is Vaticus, how you doing, mate? Get up at 6 AM, clear sky, half an hour later planes come out and a cloudy the rest of the day. I know, Tom. I've been videoing it, I'm keeping note of it. So when I get these fuckers that say, oh, it's not happening, I can fucking show them. No worries, Santosh. You just need to chance it and send me a wee email and see if I'm about. I always wondered that, is there some sort of feeding of the sun going on? Dumbass. Daniel Pratt, unfortunately, even if we close your eyes, the chemtrails still converge. Where is Gav? I don't know. I missed him last night. Not heard to Eddie Bravo either. Right, anybody requested a link? Nope. Remember, you need to send me an email or you need to phone in. I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. That's what I was thinking, Sidiel Carthy. It's, you know, I started to think, is it like a, you know, utilising it to dissipate heat? Because, you know, the people will say that, you know, when we've got cloud, it kind of holds the heat in. But as I say, we get cloud all through the day, so the sun never gets to hit the earth. So there's no heat store going on in the earth. You know, so that when the sun leaves, obviously that heat would be released. So when that happens, the clouds disperse through the night, so that lets out even more heat. So as I say, the temperature right now is a consistent run about 12, 13 degrees. And that's through the day. We're talking the height of summer here in Scotland. Andrew, level test. Hey mate, just wanted to mention the level test. Seems some confuse it still with just an observation. I see it's simply a scale ruler a straight edge, to think we can't construct half a mile physical straight edge and place it against a curve and measure the ratio between the two. I suggest it's simple, not just an observation, a physical measurement with physical objects. Not sure if all clear on that, and saying I know, but this globe cult seems to need this. I did mention that earlier on, Andrew, that people were saying to me that what I was proposing was just the same as the Bedford level experiment, when it's no, because the Bedford level is based purely on vision again. You know, where it's send a boat off and look at it, look at the wee flag. It's not a direct measure. So say the construct would be a direct measure. If it's constructed properly, the earth, the water underneath it must curve downwards and away from it, therefore increasing the gap between the bottom of the construct to the surface of the water. But aye, the globe cult is deep rooted in some. And we get the shitey weather because rebellious Scots must crush, according to their national anthem. Alright, 93 million miles away, sun. This sun, 93 fucking million miles away, you know, just can't quite heat up this wee bit of Scotland here. I'm sure they'll come out with some shite, it's refraction. Some. How about the Dell demonstration? What are we talking about? I don't know what you mean. No, they can't comprehend mechanical measurement down. It's because the globe's got them all wrapped up in fucking pseudoscience. Oh, look at this thing, let's interpret it whatever way we see fit. And we'll omit vision and any of that stuff, we'll just utilise it to push your wee story. You know? Aye? Be fucking equal day and night for 12 hours everywhere on the fucking globe, where the heat would be the fucking same. Are they going to say, because of these wee tilts and slight angles, this bastard thing that's 93 million miles away, or because of this slight wee tilty angle thing here, that's how it's cooler here. Right, no requests, I'm out of here. I'm away to sniff some underwear. I mean, put my face mask on. Take it easy, people. I'll see you soon.